We're at the Pine Restaurant at the Hanover Inn for this week's Coach Conversation. Joining me today is Trevor Michelson, interim head coach of men's lightweight rowing. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Coach, you've had a few races so far this season. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how it's been going so far?
Yeah, so, I think we, obviously being in Hanover, New Hampshire, we're a little late to the party when it comes to on-the-water rowing. So it's a quick start, but we've had 3 racing weekends and 4 opponents. We opened up with the top-ranked Princeton on the first Saturday, and then we had the defending national champions Columbia on Sunday. Saturday, kind of first race jitters, kind of got blown off the start, and the guys were a little frazzled. We were able to regroup on Sunday in the varsity, and we actually led Columbia through the first 3 quarters of the race, and then kind of got walked through and fizzled out. But the highlight of the weekend was our 4th varsity actually beat Princeton probably for the first time in 30 years. So that was a pretty exciting spot for the program. We had Harvard at home the next weekend. We kept the gap to kind of 4 seconds in the varsity, did a little more reworking, and this last weekend we raced Yale, who are the defending Ivy League champions, traded leads the whole course in the varsity. They ended up nipping us by a second. So we see Cornell this weekend and excited to keep making progress as we gear up for the Eastern Sprints.
Awesome. Coach, you talked about late start getting on the water being in Hanover, but the training schedule has been pretty much the whole year ever since the fall. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, rowing, I think other than the 100-meter dash, probably one of the greatest kind of training to race ratios. We kind of training since September 11th when we first started classes, and pretty much with the exception of the Christmas break holiday, where we do go on a 10-day training trip down south, rowing pretty consistently September through now. So in the fall, we mostly go in small boats, so we do a lot of single sculling, kind of develop our skills, our aerobic conditioning, spend time in the weight room. We do a little bit of what they call head racing, which are longer distance races, kind of 5,000 and 6,000 meters, kind of developing some of our threshold and our aerobic capacities. In the winter, we get a little bit of an hour restriction, as deemed by the league, but spend a lot of time indoors on our rowing machines. We have this great new facility, thanks to the Friends of Dartmouth Rowing, this indoor tank, which lets us kind of replicate rowing on the water even when it's frozen solid. Spend some time in there, time in the weight room, developing our strength. And then we do a little bit of cross-country skiing since, as you guys know, a good amount of snow up here.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we go on a 2-week training trip down south. That's kind of our first kind of reintroduction to on-the-water rowing. And then when we come back, we're right into the thick of it.
Interesting. So, Coach, interesting year for you. You moved into a new role this year, assistant coach before. You're the interim head coach this year.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that experience so far?
Yeah, it's been great. It's really been fantastic. I think, it's a lot of assistant coaches' dreams to kind of take over a program and become a head coach. It was of mine, especially here at Dartmouth, and, it's really been a dream come true. I think I'm really lucky to have some great mentors. Obviously Nancy and Wyatt at Dartmouth, but my previous boss, Dan Ruck, who was my head coach here and was the head coach 2 different stints of 3 years at Dartmouth. I think he did a really good job of kind of grooming me for the position, slowly giving me more and more responsibilities as I kind of got older and a little closer, knowledge of this institution and all that. But yeah, I feel really fortunate. Every athlete in our program I've known since they were 17, or 18. And so getting to kind of grow with them, and our freshmen, who are when the 5th years were freshmen, was kind of my first recruiting class. So to see them kind of matriculate, get older, grow as athletes, students, and people has been really rewarding for me.
Awesome, Coach. Well, thank you again for joining us today.
Sure.
Good luck the rest of the season, and we look forward to cheering on the Big Green.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.